Hi, Henry. Good morning. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you. How are you? It's good to see you again.
And you? I'm very well, considering all the circumstances. We're in Tier 4 in London, so there've had to be a few mad dash arrangements, but changes to arrangements, I should say. But I feel very fortunate that we're touched with keeping well. So
Yes.
there we go. Although we won't be able to see family in quite the way we'd thought. And I know
Yeah,
you're going to work, so thank you for all of the help that you're giving along with your colleagues
thank
in
you so
keeping us
much.
safe. That's great. Thank you so much. So, Henry, just thought, at the end of the year, you've been, I think, in the coaching around 5-6 months. And talking to my colleagues at Let's Talk Leadership, we thought it would be helpful just for you to give some sort of brief ideas so that, about the coaching, so that others who are maybe considering it will have a little bit of a steer as to why they might want to choose it and what they can get from it. So is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe we'll start with what you, and actually you should just say a little bit about what you do, Henry. I'm just rather than me saying it, so just a little bit about what you do and why you chose to do the coaching at this point in your career.
Yeah, sure. So I am a control shift officer working for South Central Ambulance Service, and I am a very, I would say quite a very new team leader. I've not done a team leader role before. This is my first ever team leader role. I'm 30 years old, so my experience in that particular department it is very, very shallow. So I thought, for the benefit of my team, for the benefit of everybody that I manage or work with, it would be beneficial for young, inexperienced leaders to get some coaching, just to see, I think basically it's good to get any sort of help, really. And the coaching has definitely been proven to be very, very beneficial in my sort of journey of learning how to be, one, a team leader, two, being a manager type figure.
It's a big shift, isn't it? A really big shift. I know I don't mean shift as in shifts that you work. A big shift in your, I guess, in your thinking and your behaviour, isn't it? Quite different. They often say when you think about transitions in working life that the shift from working as an individual player or as part of a small team is challenging, but really probably the biggest shift is in becoming a team leader and managing other people's work, because obviously your job is then obviously completely different from just looking after what you give as output and ensuring that what you do meets the requirements of your role. So, well, Henry, can you just perhaps just thinking back over this year, and I know you're quite recent into the role, but what would you say this challenging year of 2020, what's been the most striking thing for you as a leader? You're a relatively inexperienced leader. What's really struck you as the learning?
So I think we've gone through quite a lot of stuff over the last few months. So I think from the beginning, I had a lot of struggles with sort of thinking, oh, I'm not good enough, and that really struck my confidence. And then obviously that kind of impacted on the type of team leader role that I should be. And then I had so many different ideas, and it was so confusing on what I should be as a team leader. And I think it never really occurred to me, because I kind of just thought, oh, being a team leader, you just learn on the job sort of thing. But obviously I've done a bit of a course before meeting you, but then obviously the course that we did was the Mary Seacole, that was funded by the NHS. And that kind of steered me towards a more sort of, oh, actually, we can look at this more from an academic way. And then that's why when I got offered the opportunity to get some coaching, I was like, oh, that's great. Let's go with the coaching, because then we can look at this from a sort of an academic, sort of sciencey kind of way. So yeah, biggest shift, biggest challenge being a new team leader, I'd say it's definitely to do with the mentality. I never really had this mentality of being sort of responsible for other people other than myself. So having to change that mindset was probably the biggest challenge for me, because I had this conflict of wanting to have a good relationship with all the people that I work with and manage, but I didn't really know how to sort of put that in a place with being an effective team leader, being an effective manager,
Yeah.
because obviously it's quite conflicting when you want it to be liked. So it stops you from having, I don't know, difficult conversations, or,
Yes.
you know, if you want to discipline someone effectively,
Mm.
you can't be their friend, you have to be their manager. So yeah, we obviously had a lot of conversations about that.
We did. So I know. I'm glad you raised that, because I do think that you sort of said one was the imposter syndrome potential, which most people feel, even though they deserve the posting and the new role. But that sort of feeling, and how you get over that in the first few weeks, and feel that you can get your feet under the table and feel it's legitimate. And I think just trying things out, hopefully the coaching can help you feel confident, because you'll have got lots of the answers, but maybe just talking it through and thinking, well, actually, I've talked it through with Anne as my coach, and I think I'll try this one because this sounds the best given what I want to achieve. I know we've talked about, different ways that you can remain on good terms with people and be respected, but perhaps not always be liked all of the time by everybody in a team.
That's an impossible thing to achieve, as much as we all would like that. But yeah, no, it's been helpful. We went through Myers-Briggs, so we kind of tested our my personality, and see what kind of personality that I am, and that was interesting and very, very informative, because I never really thought of myself to be sort of like sort of the commander type, which is what I got out of it, or the indicator of the Myers.
What gave you that sort of idea that a commander? Tell us a little bit more about that, about your style.
So it said that apparently I'm quite confrontation, well, like in the best possible way, that I confront things sort of head on. And I've got quite an extrovert personality, which I initially thought I was more of an introvert, but I'm quite outspoken, so I guess probably a bit of a hint there. So it gave me a bit of an insight of the type of person.
Yeah. And has it impacted anything that you might do or in the future, or any of your actions as a leader, and having that insight and that self-awareness? Because I think that's part of a big aspect of coaching, isn't it? Developing self-awareness of yourself and your impact on others. Anything that you want to add on that?
Yes. So I think basically we went through, because obviously there's no one way of doing team leadership, as you've pointed out before. So when we went through the personality profiles, being an extrovert sometimes is good, but at the same time, you've also pointed out to me that actually sometimes you need to give the other person, you can't be the one talking all the time. And, when you interact with different people, you need to adopt a different style of team leadering, just basically so you can then bring out like the best of everybody, which at one point it just occurred to me that, okay, because I'm the team leader, I must have, control at all times. But no, I mean, it was clear that at certain times, it's sometimes for certain individuals that have like maybe a very polar opposite personality, it wouldn't work so well. So, let them talk for a bit, and you should be the one listening, sort of thing.
I don't think we said this, but I always remember, sort of quite young in my career, pretty much as you, at age you are, someone saying to me, remember that you've got 2 ears and 1 mouth, and use it in those proportions. And I thought that's very good, but it's a more general lesson, isn't it, about giving space to others. I think it's a really important aspect of learning to be a team leader, it's managing. I think what you've been saying, how it struck me, is managing that sort of almost polarity between being firm and taking charge, and of course disciplining when you need to, or performance managing, but also being willing to let other people take charge, in the sense of allowing them to talk and have their say and try and influence you. Hugely important, I think.
No, I agree. I think, everybody has, they all bring something to the table. So, and I can't be so arrogant to think, because I'm the team leader, I must know best. So,
I think down there, along that road leads downfall, I think, potentially. It might work in the short term. It's very difficult, isn't it, to make it work in the long term, even though most of us are probably drawn to that because obviously we like to think that we're good and effective, and much of the time we like our own opinion, but it's that balance, isn't it? So Henry, it's great for you to share those things and be so open. Thank you very much. And being open is an important aspect of leadership, isn't it? But is there anything else, just in closing, that you would say to encourage people, young leaders like yourself, because these people, we're hoping, especially in our organisation, encouraging young leaders, we really think they are the future of tomorrow, and are hoping very much that we can do more work with them in 2021. So is there anything you could do to encourage people to take it up?
Absolutely. I think if you're new to the whole team leader role and you've never experienced this, any of this before, I just wanted to say that as Anne's reassured me, it's quite a natural sort of reaction to sort of feel like, oh, this is quite daunting, this is quite terrifying, and I think that's quite a natural sort of knee-jerk reaction, because we're entering into an absolutely completely different a new adventure, well, particularly new for me anyway. So there's a lot of aspects that I have never really even thought about. We talked about ego states. We go through like parental, children, adult, which you can adopt different ego states to deal with different problems. And it never really occurred to me. So going through having someone there that has experience in the field of team leadership, and being able to sort of point you in the right directions, and have you just even not even necessarily point us in the right directions, but like just having a discussion and help you voice your ideas, problems that you may have encountered when you're at work or something. It's been very educational as well. So even if it's not, if you're not like necessarily a new team leader, or even if it's just a matter of like, actually, I've encountered a very difficult problem, I just want to just soundboard with someone who might have a better idea of how to deal with something like that, it's been helpful in that sense as well. So I would recommend like coaching or this sort of team leader coaching to anybody who's either new or feel like, actually, I want a bit more self-development in that particular aspect. I would definitely strongly recommend it, personally anyway.
Oh, thank you so much, Henry. That's a very cheerful note, I think, to end on, and to say thank you so much for being so responsive as a coachee, and again, thanks for all the very hard work you and your team do to keeping us safe during this really, really challenging leadership time, and time just for us as humanity. Every individual has their own challenges. So thank you so much. And I look forward to working with you in 2021. Really, really do.
Thank you. Likewise. Thank you so much.